Hey, what's going on YouTube? Heir of Carthage here, or should I say what the crap is going on? Some of you have asked me to talk a little bit about the different units and the upgrades. I do have all the units unlocked now. I've captured every land province. The naval battles right now, though, are just absolute dog crap in my opinion, so I haven't finished those, just because they're really not fun to play whatsoever, in my opinion at least. Maybe you all like just sniping with the Kosetsu class or whatever, but right now, in my opinion, the naval battles are really retarded, and they need to cap the sniping. Like, it's just a broadside sniping competition is all it is. So it'd be nice if they could somehow patch the naval battles to where they were playable. In any case, let me talk to you about veteran units a little bit. I've got, like I said, I've got all the units unlocked, and let's just talk through it. I prefer the Imperial line units. Some people like the Shogunate line units, but for the most part, it appears people are favoring the Imperial line units, and I think it's because they have better accuracy and reload capability usually for the price. So say, for instance, you've got this Vermilion Bird Force here. It's got excellent morale and a real good charge bonus, but the thing is melee almost never happens on this game. Um, Especially if you're playing Follow Samurai versus Follow Samurai. And if you look at the reload skill here, it's only 40, as opposed to, say, this Black Bear has 45 and then 50 accuracy. So you've got basically the same stats with just a little higher morale on the Bird Force, but it's 150 Koku more. And now, granted, that morale definitely can play out sometime, and that means you're going to have significantly less men as well. Shogunate Infantry and Imperial Infantry are pretty much the exact same unit, or they are the same unit, just with a different name. I used to think these guys were worthless because if you look at their stats right here, they're really not all that great for the price. But with a couple of upgrades, these guys only cost like, 1,060 or something like that, and they'll have 75 reload, which is pretty dang potent. An Imperial Infantry with a couple of chevrons can definitely be a handy unit. It's pretty expensive, but it'll definitely have like more explosive reload than a White Bear or a Black Bear with the similar upgrades, or at the same cost even. It'll give you more bang for your buck. So at least I think so. I mean, you don't have to follow mine. These other units, these like the White Tiger Force is just a throwaway unit. I wouldn't depend on these guys for anything except for dying. Azure Dragon Force is sometimes like a good way to spend some extra money you have, but these guys aren't like super great. You could upgrade them and they might be like kind of alright, but they wouldn't be very good. I don't know. I mean, the Shogunate forces are cheaper, so you can bring more of them. Same thing with these Tortoise Force. You can see their stats are pretty craptacular. But, I mean, the price is right, so I don't know. I haven't messed with the Shogunate forces much. Mostly I use, Imperial. And so what I would do if I were you and you wanted to have some good unit upgrades and you just wanted some tips of a beginner, as a beginner, if you're just starting the game, I would rank up like some White Bears to about 2 chevrons, so have them cost about 900, and then I would have another group of White Bears that cost about 1,000. Or you can do the same with Black Bears. So you kind of want to have like a different price range, so you have units available at different price. So I'd have like several of these guys at 900 price point, either one of these guys, and then several of them at about the 1,000 price point. And then that gives you a lot of flexibility, so you can always bring vanilla units too. So that's pretty much it for line infantry. I mean, some of these, like, Red Bear infantry is actually better in melee than some of the other units. But its shooting statistics are pretty poor. So that's the difference between Red Bear and White Bear, if any of you are wondering. And then Black Bear, of course, just has better accuracy and reload than either one of them, but less melee statistics than Red Bears. So let's take a look at the cavalry. So Carbine Cav is a pretty handy unit, but for just 100 Koku more, you get this Imperial Guard Cav that basically already comes with the upgrades that you would have to give your Carbine Cav, plus the Imperial Guard Cav has better melee statistics and morale. So Carbine Cav right now in its current form is actually worthless, because for, like I said, 100 Koku more, you get like 300 Koku worth of upgrades. Imperial Guard Cav is probably underpriced. Or Carbine Cav is overpriced, however you want to look at it. I wouldn't want hordes of Shooter Cav on the battlefield, though, so I kind of think they should probably just raise the price of Imperial Guard Cav, because right now it's a very flexible unit. Revolver Cav is deadly effective, but it is expensive. So it definitely has drawbacks, and their ammo, they will shoot out their ammo in no time. Shogun Guard Cav is definitely a tough melee unit. It's actually a little cheaper than Great Guard and has pretty much just as good a statistics with maybe just a little less charge. So you tell me what you think, but I mean, Shogun Guard Cav is definitely like a bargain for the stats you get. Yariki is also a pretty good bargain for the stats you get. And then Saber Cav I find to be just complete trash. It's too slow, it routes too easy, just a completely worthless unit. I don't see any use for it whatsoever on the battlefield, to be honest. This Bow Key is just like Bow Cav, so, you know, nothing different there. The elite units, Imperial Guard Infantry is, if you put a couple of upgrades on these guys, or like 3 or 4 upgrades, they will have like French Marine type stats, and they will cost like 300 koku less. And the difference is, though, is that you can't get the 150 range on these guys easily. You have to have a 9 chevron to get the 150 range. But if you're looking for something that's got like French, you know, Marine type stats, and without the range, these guys are a pretty good bargain. Actually, I want to say it's about 1,500 or 1,550 koku that they'll have 80 reload and 85 accuracy. Something ridiculous. Like, I mean, they can shoot the crap out of people. And they have good morale, and they also have very good melee statistics. So, interesting unit. The Ki Hitai I find to be, you know, it has a little less morale for the price. Its shooting stats, I mean, it's pretty accurate, but its shooting stats as far as reload go are pretty craptacular. And I don't really find this unit to be super useful. I have seen some people using it. Shogunate Guard Infantry is the same as Imperial Guard Infantry. As far as melee units, Kyoto Police, I mean, they're just kind of an overpriced spear unit. The Spear Levy is a good, like, waste unit if you need something to just throw away. Yarikachi should have the Rapid Advance, but they don't. If they had the Rapid Advance, they would be an interesting unit. Kisho Ninja are overpriced. Like, this is the exact same Kisho Ninja unit as the one in the traditional Shogun 2, except at like twice the price. So you tell me how that makes sense. Then you've got the Samurai, or the Katanakachi. You know, it's pretty high price. If you do get them into melee, they'll cause a lot of damage. Same thing with the Shogutai. These guys are helpful when you're facing off against traditional Shogun 2 armies, because really, for the price, you get a ridiculously large amount of men with great morale and very good attack. So the Shogutai are a great unit to use against traditional armies. Bokachi are, you know, they can be helpful, especially in low funds battles as cheap skirmishers. I don't think they're going to do you a lot of good in the higher funds battles. I find Matchlock Kachi to be completely worthless, but they are cheap, so I don't know, maybe you find that to be alright. Sharpshooters, their stats are just terrible, and they're expensive, so I really don't see the point. You've got Tosa Riflemen, which are deadly effective, but a lot of times, like I said on this game, if you have like an anthill in between your unit and theirs, they won't fire. And so 150 range units, I just prefer to bring my guards, like my elite foreign units with the 150 range. Tosa rifles are good, and I've seen people use them, but it's tricky. Same thing with Yuga Katai. These guys are cool, though, because they can hide anywhere, but extremely expensive units. I think these guys should be priced down, as well as Tosa rifles and sharpshooters. Sharpshooters should be knocked down to 900, I think. Tosa rifles clear down to 1100, and then the Ki Hitai would be fine at 13. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Obviously, I haven't tested any of that. And then, of course, you got Armstrong guns, Gatling guns, Parrot guns, wooden cannons. I haven't used the Gatling guns yet. I would assume they would be most useful against, like, a traditional samurai army, but that's only if you could kind of protect them or put them in a good spot where they could get a lot of shots, because, I mean, you are going to get rushed, obviously, if you're facing a traditional army. Anyway, that's kind of a quick unit discussion. As far as the skill trees for the Avatar, let me cover that with you real quick, just in case you're interested. This is Patcher Cogburn in his current form, dressed like a U.S. Marine, which I thought was pretty cool. His skills tree right now is in the command tree. The reason I chose to do this is two. One, I get to see the deployment of the enemy army with this. And number two, I got really sick of the morale of my men being so poor, so I got the increased army morale, because my men would rout so easy. And the shooter tree is cool. It has some bonuses, but in my preference, I prefer to have the morale on my men, because even if you, each one of these upgrades, you think oh, it makes my line infantry be better. Well, it does, by 2. That's it, yes. You pay 50 extra for your general to increase the reload of your line infantry by 2 for each one of these upgrades. So each time you click that, it makes your general 50 more expensive, and you only get 2 points. And to me, the fights don't usually last long enough that your 2 or 4 reload or accuracy is going to make a difference. And with the men with better morale, your men tend to stand their ground and fight longer, which tends to be of more value to me than these. Now, I'm not saying this is worthless. Some people may do well with it, but I don't like it. The increased range general was kind of hard to give up because that is pretty handy sometimes, and this Ganbat would be a pretty sweet thing too. So once I get like up to 20 points, I'll try it where I have Ganbat. And then I'm also going to try this leadership tree. I have not gotten to try the Bushido one, but I think I will make a second avatar eventually and try the Bushido one. It looks interesting. But this one's all focused on like melee and speed and being able to capture points faster. And it's just, it's kind of an interesting, it's definitely just kind of an interesting tree. But in any case, now that I've given you an update on that, let's go check out a replay. I didn't want to make you just sit here and watch me talking the whole time. Thank goodness the replays are fixed. It makes this a lot better. So this is a game I played against a guy in Clan Long, and I've had some like very like interesting matches with Clan Long in the past. Like I played a bunch of their guys back in the day that were like totally like matchlock spammers and stuff and lone sword spammers. But of course everybody was back in that day, so it doesn't really surprise me. But what's funny is that recently, like when these guys, to me, used to be, and I'm not trying to say this to be mean, but to be honest, in the past, whenever I get matched against a guy in Clan Long, I was just like, oh, no, because I didn't like their armies. But these days, it's funny because all the Clan Long guys I've been playing have been the only ones who have been, like, decent sports. Like, so I played, like, 25 matches yesterday, and Rage Quitters took 23 of them. So I literally finished 2 matches yesterday. And so this guy was a very good sport. He wished me good luck before the game. I did the same to him. And yeah, so, and both of us finished the game. There was no rage quitting. And I will let you see how the outcome is, so I wanted to show you this. Let's go ahead and introduce my army. I've got this unit right here of Imperial Infantry. You can see their stats. They just have 1 upgrade, but pretty good reload right there, 65 reload. And then I've got my Royal Marines. They've got some pretty sick stats too. Then I've got this White Bear Infantry here. You can see their stats there on the screen. And then I've got this Black Bear Infantry. Then I've got an Armstrong gun that I thought was hidden in the woods, so not too clever of me to not actually check the little banner and make sure that it was hidden. It is not hidden so my opponent can see it. And I'm lucky that it doesn't get shot. Here is old Patchter Cogburn. Let's see, this should be him somewhere around the center. Where'd he go to? It's harder for me to spot him these days. There he is. Yeah, he's the grizzled looking one in the center. Maybe I should change like the color of the rest of his bodyguard where he's easier to spot. And then I've got, as far as cav goes, I've got this Imperial Guard cav. Like I said, these guys are the shooter cav with good morale and decent melee statistics. Then I've got 2 Yari Key. I got one running into the woods right here, and then I have another one that I started out hidden over here. Let's take a look at my opponent's deployment. He rushed up into this hill to hide in these woods. Very good move, because it's going to keep his men safe from my Armstrong guns. When you're using Armstrong guns, it of necessity makes you have to be pretty campy. And so some of you may not like this type of play. To be honest, it's not my favorite. But it's kind of the way you have to play. Whenever you spend that much money on an artillery unit, you have to make sure that it is used well. So he's got his white bears here and some more white bears. Or no, it looks like black bears. Yeah, he's got some black bears. And then he had some Tosa rifles and some other units hinted. Here's his general. His general looks like a shooter gen to me. Maybe mixed with a few other type of things. I can't tell. Here's this Armstrong gun. It's firing away. He hasn't gotten any hits yet because he's just he's using first-person shooter right now, and he's aiming this gun right here. So you can see him shooting it. I like how sometimes like the smoke effects and stuff don't work in the cannons either. I'm not sure why that is. He did get a hit right there. Killed 20 of my men with one shell. So yeah, the Armstrong gun is incredibly deadly. And in first-person shooter mode, if you use it well, it's very deadly too. But it focuses your attention whenever you're using first-person shooter. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sneaking these cav this way. And so when you're in first-person mode, it looks kind of like this, except with a reticle. So it would be like right down on these cannons, but with a reticle, and you can't see the mini-map. So well, actually, I don't remember if you can or not. Even if you can, it's a risk because it's going to focus your attention on aiming rather than what's going on the mini-map. And all I'm doing right now is positioning my men just below this ridge so that you can see this guy took some shrapnel from an Armstrong gun. He was the unfortunate one. I put my men just behind this ridge to make it harder for his shots to hit. It doesn't mean they can't, it just makes it harder, especially if he goes into a fire at will mode. So I started running my cav out here, and like I said, I can see the deployment just because of one of the abilities that that old Patcher has. So I know that my opponent has cav, and right now I'm guessing that it is probably hidden right here. This would be the only spot that makes sense, because I think that's the only spot that he can hide his cav on deployment. And the reason he's done that is to protect his artillery while he's in first-person mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and spring his trap. Now I'm doing this on purpose. He probably thinks he's going to get me, but I'm doing it on purpose.
Your general is
And I'm going to spring this Yari key out. Once he gets focused on these cav, my real attack plan is to spring this Yari key out and around, and we'll see if it works. So let's watch from the point of these woods as my men approach and see if indeed that is the case. So my men are approaching, and then right here, sure enough, 3 Yari key pop out of hiding, and some of them have some veteran statistics. So my first thought was to run away and try and draw them out, but I was like, you know what, my guys are faster because of the upgrades of the command general, but I don't know if I can actually get away, so I just go ahead and intercept him from the side with my Yari key. Figure that'll get my guys some easy kills, and I'm going to save my Imperial Guard cav, and then I'm going to turn around and start shooting into his blob of Yari key. So that's what I'm going to start doing right now. And right here you can see I just popped my other Yari key out of hiding. My Imperial Guard cav is going to start hitting his guys, and he's not going to like that, so he's going to turn one of his Yari key to chase. It's a smart move, because these Imperial Guard cav reload very quickly, and they're pretty accurate. So look, I'm drawing his Yari key away, and it's not until about this point where he realized that my other Yari key is back here, and fortunately his general did not turn and fire. Like I said, I tried to focus his attention here, and it was successful, so that was a ruse. And so I sacrificed that Yari key in order to try and get his Armstrong gun. Again, right here would have been a perfect time for his general to try and intercept, or he could have even turned his line infantry troops in the woods around. He finally realized what the ruse was, but here's the danger. My men are going to kill his Armstrong gun almost instantly, and so then I'm going to have a downhill charge into his Yari key, and look who's behind his Yari key again, my Imperial Guard cav. So all this very much works to my favor. So drawing your opponent into the position where you want him is a definite necessity in battle. So my guys will get killed because they're not as veteran as his or whatnot, and they're outnumbered. But this is again going to allow me to kill pretty much all of his cav, and my Imperial Guard cav is going to take some shots again. Now he sees him coming again, so he sends the Yari key to chase, or a Saber cav. Okay, yes, this one's a Saber cav. He sends them to chase me off, and I probably could have taken these guys in melee, but it's smarter for me to just run away. And I'm going to let my Yari key just do whatever damage they can do over here. They did pretty good. They killed about half of his cav. And then this Saber cav is never going to catch me. These guys are a bunch of fat lards. Like, Saber cav is incapable of probably catching like a Yari samurai who's in like the rapid advance. I mean, Saber cav is like the slowest version of cav. I think that they feed these horses Crisco or something. Like, I haven't figured it out. Anyway, but now the danger is as soon as he turns away, all I've got to do is just turn my Imperial Guard cav, and I'm going to start shooting him. So chasing Imperial Guard cav with Yari key or Saber cav, you better just commit to it, because if you turn around, all you got to do is turn your Imperial Guard cav around, and they'll start shooting your men in the back, and then the whole thing was for naught. So if you're going to chase him, you might as well just chase him until it's over. There you can see me just absolutely slaughter the remainder of his men. So my opponent took the remainder of his Yari key, and he's going to run over into these woods, because now he knows I've taken out his Armstrong gun, and I'm going to have that artillery advantage. So he wants to take out my Armstrong gun, and his thought is maybe he can somehow get a sneak attack off from the side over here. Now at this point, now that his Armstrong gun is gone, I'm going to move my men forward. I'm going to show you how I'm moving them forward here. I'm going to capture this building, and then if I have to, I'll capture this other key building. And whenever you capture both key buildings, it starts a 10-minute countdown timer to which your opponent will lose if you stay in control of those buildings. So you cannot allow someone to capture all the key buildings. Here's my Imperial Infantry. These guys are pretty cool looking. Got some red and white colors on them. Then my Royal Marines, like I left some red color on them, figured that would be appropriate. Yeah, these guys are pretty sweet. You know, this little thing on the banner shows like some kind of cool rifle with a bayonet. Am I the only one who notices these guys don't have bayonets? They've got swords. I'm pretty sure the bayonet would be cool. It'd also help against cav a lot, but none of these troops are bayonet armed in this game for some reason. So don't expect your men to be able to hold their own in a cav fight. So now all I gotta do is just noob box my artillery for the time being, and yes, I'm noob boxing. Sometimes noob boxing kind of makes sense, like in this scenario, because my opponent's infantry is all the way across the map. It's not going to hurt me to just noob box this artillery to make sure that his Yari key can't possibly make a sneak attack on it. And here I've captured this building. My Imperial Guard Cav, I was going to try and shoot his general, but he pulled these Tosa riflemen to keep me away. Here's the remnants of the Cav fight from earlier. Pretty funny. I'm going to take my guys over here, and I was going to capture this building to go ahead and force him out, but I was like, you know what, I'll take my Imperial Guard Cav clear back, and then I can use my general and my Imperial Guard Cav to shoot his Yariki who are hiding in these woods, and they won't be able to give chase, because if you look at the cone of fire, I've got coverage on like this entire angle here, so his Yariki is at a serious disadvantage, and he probably should have just kept them back with his army. If I were my opponent at this point, I would have just marched my troops down and began a frontal attack. Armstrong gun, just, you know, screw it, you're going to have to take some losses, and I would have kept my Yariki one on one flank and one on the other, because I only had one cav unit left, and I would only be able to cover one flank with my cav, and that would have given him the opportunity to possibly charge one of my infantry, because he does outnumber me in the infantry department. That's the way I would have done it, but, you know, he doesn't have to do it the way I do it. You can see me just kind of running my general around. I'm trying to get his Yariki to come forward, and I'm also running my Imperial Guard Cav, which is quite tired at this point, because it's been running all over the battlefield. Here's what these guys look like up close. Pretty cool. So my general is going to open fire on this Yariki. He's not super accurate and stuff because he's not the gun general anymore. And you can also see on the mini-map my opponent starts to move his troops out of hiding. So I did manage to chase his Yariki off, and I'm going to give chase to them with the rest of my cav. And then I'm going to open up with my Armstrong guns. Now, the reason Armstrong guns reload so quick is because I want to say it's called a breech-loading cannon. I could be wrong, but it loads down here on the bottom. So, yeah. In fact, I'm not even sure what these guys are aiming at. But anyway, you're going to see them like they open the back of the cannon and load it from the rear. Yeah, now my guys are aiming here. There they go. Some guys have lit up these units of infantry here. I killed a whole bunch of these guys. So in that one volley, it was extremely devastating. You can see the pile of corpses, and then the guys who managed to just get like concussive blast. This guy was not so lucky. Obviously, he's going to bleed out. Yeah, so now my Armstrong guns are going to start causing severe damage to his infantry line. Like I said, you can see that the Armstrong gun is deadly accurate. And this is the reason why I made sure to kill his first, because otherwise this would have been my troops. At least since these guys are wearing red uniforms, the blood, you know, won't really leave any stains. It'll just kind of blend in. You're going to see his guys take just an inordinate amount of fire from that Armstrong gun right now. So my cav wasted his, and I'm going to flip this Imperial Guard cav out to the flank. This is going to occupy the attention of his infantry, draw them away from the main fight where he outnumbers me. My Royal Marines and Imperial Infantry are about to open fire, or no, Black Bears and my Royal Marines. My Royal Marines just start poning these guys severely, which is to be expected. So you can see his center was already beat up. His Tosa rifles do pretty well, though. Get some painful volleys on my my White Bear Infantry over here, but I've got a unit of Imperial Infantry to support, and these Tosa rifles are now going to just get creamed once I close the range. So he didn't really have a choice here, but you know, when you can avoid it, you never want your Tosa rifles to get the distance closed on them by standard line infantry, just because the numbers will definitely work out to the favor of the line infantry. And look, these guys are doing the Tosa shuffle, which is they just keep reforming and not firing. The Tosa riflemen are some of the worst ones at it. They really need to patch this as soon as possible. I noticed in Napoleon and Empire, sometimes your troops would reform, but sometimes they would kind of stand and fire when they had to. Now his general is a better shooter general, so I've got to run away from this fight. Apache starts to get torn up. He's not a shooter cav anymore. So I'm just going to move forward my infantry, and my Imperial Infantry is going to square off with his this general here, and this is going to be ugly. So here you go for the Emperor. So there was the absolute execution of his general. And you can see that what forces he has left are completely tattered and being shattered right now. So these White Bears are going to shatter. This infantry over here he used to chase my Imperial Guard cav, but all I got to do is just keep it running. He'll never catch them. And it took his infantry away from the fight where they were badly needed to outnumber my men. And without that outnumbering effect, my guys are qualitatively superior and easily won the fight. So that's going to be the end of it, and we'll go get you the statistics screen so you can see how my units did it. Hopefully this video was helpful to you, just to see the maybe some ideas for unit upgrades and how you can use those if you're new to the game. The key is always with the unit upgrades, you have to, I don't know, like, I'm not an economist, I'm an engineer, but I had to take some economy classes, and I think the word they use for it sometimes is diminishing returns. So there's a certain point where you think the more money you pour into something, the better it'll be, but that's not necessarily the case. There's a certain point to which your upgrades are not going to buy you more kills or more effectiveness in battle, so you just kind of have to consider that. And what you can do sometimes if you really want to test how effective it is upgrade a unit and take it into a battle list battle with one of your friends, you know, where it's not like a competitive deal, and test. So a lot of times I go in with people and I'll test units just to see how their upgrades play out and to see if they're really worth it. But yeah, anyway, hopefully that gives you some ideas on where to go if you're relatively new to this game. Let's get back out here. So there's the results screen. This was a medium funds battle, so it wasn't as many, you know, people on the battlefield, but you can see that he outnumbered me. My Royal Marines got the most kills, no surprise there. And then next was my Armstrong guns, which was my shrapnel gram, is what I named it. I haven't named all of my, and some of my guys have just given like standard names, but I was thinking about adding nicknames to these guys. So if you guys are ever watching one of my videos and you see something cool that one of my units does and you think of a good nickname, you know, you can let me know. So anyway, good game to my opponent. Thank you for being a good sport and finishing the game, because there's so many rage quitters out there right now. I really appreciated that, so very good game to my opponent. Hope you enjoyed the video.